Hello, this is Aaron of evacstation. I don't know who out there is listening or who can hear us, but you are not alone. There are other survivors. Don't defect. We're just humble podcasters scare you away. We have food, water, shelter, and a working Netflix box. Just take the internet browser over to patreon.com/evacstation. For less than the cost of releasing infected apes upon the world, you can support our show and allow us to help more fine folks like you. Again, you can find us at patreon.com/evacstation. And remember, you are not alone.
You're all gonna die screaming. All we wanna do is eat your brains. We're not unreasonable. I mean, no one's gonna eat your eyes. All we wanna do is eat your brains.
The clock has struck midnight, and you know what that means. It's terror time again. We'll be running this podcast all through the night for a terrifying sight. And you must repent, for the beginning is extremely fucking nigh. We are Major Aaron Waseska, and I am joined by Corporal Ryan Metters.
Sir, yes, sir!
Good shit.
You couldn't see it, but I saluted, so...
Love it. And if you want to follow our platoon to hell, you can join us on our various platforms of choice, including Patreon, YouTube, Peepa, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Podcast Addict. I actually don't know if iTunes still works anymore, because I know they changed that recently. I'm not sure what the deal with that is. I'll have to look into that more. Well, because I remember they said Apple was discontinuing iTunes, and they're going to do something different, and now I have no idea what it is. I should probably look into that before we continue doing these, but I'll do that later. What was it? You can also reach out to us on social media platforms, Facebook, Tumblr, and Twitter. And on all these platforms, you can rate our stuff, comment on our stuff, and if you leave 5-star reviews on whatever platform you're watching our stuff on, that helps us out a lot, gets us more visibility. And if you want to reach out to us directly, Ryan, we have an email. What is that email?
That email is sillyandmurphysdick at... Excuse me. That's evacstation@gmail.com.
Indeed. We will start with our first segment, which is What You Watchin'. Ryan, what have you been watching?
Well, through the magic of wonky recording schedules, Astro! This week, I actually managed to watch and complete the third season of Stranger Things.
Ooh, good season. I didn't put that for any of my watchins yet. I'll have to do that soon.
Man, it's really good. This is like, so I won't get into spoilers because I know there might be people who still haven't watched it. If you haven't, go see it, please. But what I will say is this show is doing a remarkable job of capturing capturing a look at adolescence, like the entire perspective. It's not just like the fun, warm days of like when you were 12, 13 hanging out with your friends. It also captures the awkward bits of like discovering relationships, trying to figure out how the fuck those work, and what even are girls? What the fuck? What are we doing here?
Yeah, what are girls?
And
really,
and just like and the tragedies and the sadness along with the really good parts. It's a fantastic show because it does all of this while also telling a really fun 80s fucking alien show. It if you haven't watched it, please watch it. If you have, please message me so I can talk to you about it because I don't have many who watch it right now, and I'm like, I have a need to discuss this show. It's really, really good.
Yeah, we binged it in that first weekend and got it done in that first weekend, and now I gotta agree, it's really good stuff, and man, I'd love to talk about it more, but like you said, if you don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen it.
I know. Oh, so good.
I know the show runs on a spoiler zone where it's like everything here's a spoiler, but I think the rule I like to apply is that we don't spoil things that we haven't talked about yet. I think that's fair for people who are just joining in. So now we can talk about fucking Endgame all we want because that was months ago and we did that podcast. And if you didn't watch it, well, what kind of fan are you for not watching our shit? Fucking Tony Stark dies at the end. Moving on.
Well done.
Moving on. I went there. I'm surprised I kept to it.
I fucking love it, sir. Good job.
Okay.
What have you been watching, sir?
So, Ryan, I started a new manga this week, or I should say, I started a while ago. Didn't really stick with it too hard, but I'm like, you know what, I'll give it another shot. I jumped back into it, fully dived in. And I'm going to tell you right now, Ryan, one of my favorite characters from anime was Brock from Pokemon. He was one of my first ones I really got into. And then my second favorite character I got in anime, like, further into anime, the next character I really got into was Sanji from One Piece.
Oh my god.
You know what they have in common?
They are master chefs.
They're playboys and they're master chefs. The master chefs is the important part, but the playboys I want to throw in there. Ryan, for the longest time, like, these guys are really good. I would love an anime full of master chefs. And I'm thinking to myself, that would never happen. Why would they make an anime about people who cook food? That's stupid. Enter Food Wars Shokugeki no Soma.
Okay.
It's a show where this young man named Soma Yukihara goes to a school where they teach culinary. It's a culinary school, and literally the entire series is a bunch of people challenging each other to food-based battles.
What?
And the cool thing I like about it is, not only do you get to... So, okay, first, visually, it's stunning. Beautiful, the food looks great, it's Miyazaki-level food design. It's good shit. Two, more importantly, each chapter of the manga I've been reading ends with a recipe. Well, not each chapter, but a lot of chapters end with a recipe for the stuff they made in the chapter.
Get the what?
That to me is over the moon. That is fucking gold star. You did everything you need to do to make this worth my time. Three. Most importantly, I think though, is the constant visual references to other anime. They've done Yu-Gi-Oh! They've done JoJo. They've done all sorts of other fucking great things. They've done like the boxing series, crap, I can't remember what it's called now. The Hajime Ippo, I think is what it was. They have referenced so many other things with their various like cooking battles. It is insane, and it's just so much fun. And I blew through 100 chapters in a single week because I'm like, I want to read this on the bus, and oh my god, I can't put it down. It's so good.
Shokugeki no Soma?
Yep.
Okay, now, related question.
Yes.
What do you use to, like, where do you go for your manga?
So I read it on my phone, and there's a app I use called Manga Rock, and I think it pulls from various manga sites or specific ones that you can choose. But I marked many different series that I intend to read as quote-unquote favorites, so that way when they get updated, I will know when new chapters come out, and then I can go to find some of the ones I was recommended to later on. I got a whole rotating list of favorites right now that I'm reading through right now. It's ridiculous. And this one's taking up the bulk of my time.
Damn. Okay. I am so far behind on my manga. I haven't gotten to read like forever. So I'm definitely gonna need to take some time and get into it. Because like when I start reading, I'm in it. Like I'm just fucking in it. Mm-hmm. So I need to give that some time and actually get back to it. I'm like 20 chapters behind on My Hero Academia. So
I'm keeping up on that. The recent chapters have not been hitting it for me, but that's also because a lot of chapters lately have been about the bad guys. I'm like, they're fine, but what about the fucking good guys that we've been following for the whole series?
I need to get back to Deku because All for One started doing One for All started doing some weird shit, and I'm like,
They really they chose a fucking weird time to deviate from the main plot, and I don't get why.
I'm gonna read into that, and then we're gonna talk about it. But yes, all right.
Fair. I will say, this series does not mitigate my recommendation from earlier this year. If you have not seen Kaguya-sama Love is War, that is what you should see first, because that stuff is still the shit, but this is a good follow-up if you have not seen it yet, because Food Wars, perfect.
Is Food Wars also on Crunchyroll?
I think it's on Crunchyroll, Hulu, all that stuff, yeah.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, we're gonna have to give this a watch. We're gonna have to give this a watch.
And like I said, the part that really just got it to me was just the fact there's recipes in the goddamn manga. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna screenshot this, and I'm gonna save it for later, because I'm going to make that stuffed chicken wing. I'm gonna make this ramen dish you put in front of me. This all looks fucking great.
What was the name of the other one? The first one that you...
I'll type it up real quick for you, but for those who are listening, again, that is Kaguya-sama, Love is War.
Kaguya-sama.
I don't want that. Here we go.
Alright.
There we go. Okay. That was a very long tangent, but I think it's totally worth it. Good shit. So let's move on to the movie of this week. Welcome back to Terror Time 2, The Corpse Party, and tonight we will be taking this party on a double-decker bus all the way to 28 Days Later, written by Alex Garland and directed by Danny Boyle. It would go to gross a worldwide total of $82,719,000, which is 10 times what it cost.
God damn.
They made this movie for cheap. Dirt cheap. Good stuff. I love it when they can do that. Most of that probably went to shutting down the streets of London, though, for those few hours,
which blew my fucking mind, like, honestly.
Well, we were watching this movie, and I pointed out to Amanda, I'm like, so, how much do you think it costs to shut down those streets for the whole day for this shoot? Because that's a fuck ton of busy streets there. Those are big sightseeing sites. Like, that's gotta be expensive as fuck. The film stars Brendan Gleeson, Megan Burns, Noah Huntley, Naomi Harris, Cillian Murphy, love that man, and returning as a proper villain this time, Christopher Eccleston.
Hey! A proper villain? He is actually a proper villain.
He is. He's not this mopey, whiny, no emotions, dark elf from another dimension. The film has won a total of 10 awards, including Best Horror Film from the Academy of Sci-Fi, Fantasy, and Horror, Best Breakthrough Performance to Naomi Watts from the Black Reel Films, Best British Film, and Best Newcomer to Cillian Murphy for the Empire Awards UK.
Was this his first film?
I think so. I love Cillian Murphy. I have yet to see him in a bad role. Best
White. Yeah, he crushed it. Sorry.
Yep. Go ahead.
I was just saying he crushed it. Man, keep going.
Oh yeah.
This is his first movie.
I think it's this followed by Batman Begins and then Red Eye, which I love all three of those. They're all really good.
God.
Let's see. We also have two more. Best Wide Release and Best Screenplay to the Fangoria Chainsaw Awards. We've seen them a couple times this season. And lastly, Horror of the Year from the Golden Schmoes.
Yeah. God. This is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get to initial thoughts, I got a couple fun facts for you guys.
Awesome.
For the London scenes, police would close the roads from 4 a.m. The filming would begin immediately after that. Now, after 1 hour, the police would reopen the roads. The producers correctly predicted that asking drivers, including clubbers headed home, to either wait for an hour or find another route would make them extremely angry. So they got several extremely attractive young women, including Danny Boyle's daughter, we're not going to comment on that, to make the necessary requests, and the drivers responded quite amicably to them.
That's creepy and cute at the same time, and I like what they did.
I mean, I like this particular type of like gonzo production, like bare bones. Like you gotta make use of everything that you can. And I'm like, all right, that's fair. That's fair. Next up, the shot of the notice board at Piccadilly Circus with the missing persons flyers caused some controversy when the film was first released. Some said it was insensitive to what happened in New York after the 9/11 attacks. The film was shot prior to 9/11, although it was released afterwards. Now, Danny Boyle also said that he based the shot on the photograph he saw from an earthquake in China. He also said that if he made the movie after the 9/11 attacks, he would not have shot that scene. Which, like I completely understand where the complaints are coming from, definitely, but there was absolutely no way that could have been predicted by filmmakers.
And here's my thing. Even post 9/11, that scene still is really good for a lot of reasons, and I will get more into that once we get into the actual discussion. But
Yeah.
I
I feel
really
like
enjoyed that scene.
I did too. And I didn't feel like it was explicitly poking fun at 9/11.
Oh no,
like,
not at
I've
all.
seen
Not
like
at all.
because I've seen like many many stories dealing with like a nationwide catastrophe and like people missing people and like these big boards of missing posters like that feels like a staple of like a, a large scale cataclysmic event where a lot of people are missing people, and that like that kind of board just kind of speaks to that. So the fact that it came out so close to 9/11, sure, like I 100% get that, but you can't really blame the filmmaker for putting that in their movie about a wide scale horrible like event when that's what the movie is based on, a wide scale horrible event. You know what I mean? So we do have one more for you. For the scenes on the motorway, production actually got permission to shoot on the M1 on a Sunday morning between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. The police gradually slowed traffic in both directions. Using 10 cameras, the filmmakers managed to capture a total of 1 minute of usable footage. I mean, they're using like major highways that millions of people drive on every fucking day. So like the fact that they were able to get a minute of usable footage where they were able to piece it together and have it look like it was just abandoned cars on the road and just empty, like, kudos to them, especially on such a small fucking budget. Yo, they produced gold. They spun gold out of flax, is what they did.
Dude, these guys are like alchemists, basically.
They spun gold out of yarn. I don't know what the fuck you want from them. That's really good.
I'm just impressed because, like, if this had been like a bigger studio with like with more money, this would have been such a like a trivial thing to do. Well, okay, a more trivial thing than what it was here. But like, damn, I mean, all they got for this was a minute, and the film they made out of this was fucking great. Like, I can't complain about it that hard at all. So yeah. Good shit on you guys. Good show.
I mean the scenes that are that these shots are referencing, like, it really does great for setting the stage. You know, it really makes you feel like London is empty. It is devoid of life. And the very few people that are actually living and breathing are scrambling for their life because fucking zombies are around. It's like 1% of the population, if that, like less than 1% of the population scrambling around trying to survive because the rest of the population are all fucking zombies. And those establishing shots really sell it. It really drives the point home. They don't even need it for the rest of the show, like for the rest of the movie, except for those shots on the M1 and trying to like make their way out of the city. Aside from that, yeah, I mean, like that minute of footage did exactly what they needed it to do.
Let's get to some initial thoughts. So, it's gonna be a weird comparison, Ryan.
Okay.
To me, this movie reminds me of the first time I saw Aliens, in that I'm seeing a lot of moments in this film that I've seen referenced in literally everything else I've played or watched in the past decade. And it's like I've seen it all before, without actually having seen the film in the first place.
Right.
And it gives me like a fake nostalgia almost. It makes me really like it more, but it's like also kind of weird because I like it just for itself. But like, I don't know, it's just a weird feeling. You know what I mean?
I 100% get what you mean, because when we saw the beginning and you see Cillian Murphy like wake up in the hospital, I'm just like, did Walking Dead come out before this or after this? And I found out that because I watched it with Allegra, who is a diehard Walking Dead fan, and this is hands down her favorite zombie movie.
Oh,
and she's the one who recommended Train to Busan to me. So when she says she likes this more than Train to Busan, I was like, oh shit, okay, let's watch it together. So yeah, but she let me know this movie actually predates the Walking Dead graphic novel. So you can pretty much like you can piece together Rick Grimes' origin directly from like the first fucking 10 minutes of this movie.
Oh yeah. And like I said, there are little bits and pieces referenced in other things like Left 4 Dead, later Resident Evils, and more Walking Dead and other various zombie media. Like, this movie is, like I said, it's like Aliens. A lot of the memes and references that you see in other stuff kind of comes from this, and that kind of makes this feel a little bit more special in a way.
Yeah, this is definitely like one of the progenitors of the zombie genre. Like you can see echoes and reverberations of this film throughout the genre from its inception on forward. That makes this a really special movie. Particularly because it was made for dirt cheap and managed to recoup 10 times its budget. So yeah.
And I forgot to mention
this is definitely a good one.
I forgot to mention at the top of the breakdown, but this was released in 2003. So, yeah, I was a child when this came out. I was fucking 13. This is ridiculous how old this is.
We've been going back and forth on this one, so I'll keep mine super duper brief. I think I saw that. I'm pretty sure I saw this movie before, but it was so long ago that I don't really remember. So I'm pretty much considering this the first time I saw it, and I was pretty damn blown away. Not only by the story, and not only by the story and the fear that it manages to evoke, not only the storytelling, and just like the human condition that it manages to show. Like this is real science fiction for me because it takes the premise and it uses it to say something about the human condition rather than just go on and on about zombies. So I think it's stellar in that effect. But the fact that on such a low budget, they did so many amazing things from a cinematographer's standpoint. Like, the cinematography in this movie is fantastic. And the fact that it's done with, like, a fucking hand cam really, like, hones in the gritty, realistic feeling of it. It gets that sense of realism from found footage, but it also manages to remain separate. So it's not found footage, but you get the same sense of realism. They're doing crazy shit on a dime in this movie, and I love it. It's really, really good.
Indeed. I just personally love it when a movie with a low budget is a success story and an overwhelming success at that. So I'm looking forward to diving deep into this one. Speaking of which, are you ready for your synopsis, sir?
I am ready. The drink is away, so if you're going to make me laugh, do it now.
I don't know how many jokes are shoved in this one. I'll have to find out. We begin when what are essentially eco-terrorists try to release some raging apes from their cage. But Dr. Scientist warns them they're infected with a virus that turns them into violent monsters. Of course, no one listens to Dr. Scientist. Who does that anymore? And thus, the monkeys are set free and Patient Zero becomes infected. Oh no, what a surprise in a movie about zombies! The infection causes humans to become more animalistic and attack anyone around them, and it only takes one drop of blood to turn into someone into one of those. We then flash forward 28 days later, roll credits, to our protagonist, the Scarecrow. He wakes up in a hospital from a coma and no one else is around, or so it seems. He wanders around the barren streets of London, showing us, the audience, various visual indicators of just how much shit everything went to. Stumbling into a church, he calls out to a crowd of bodies in an effort to find somebody, only to be greeted by a few infected. They chase him to other humans in the story, Mark and Moneypenny. Just off that alone, you can guess which one of these gets the unceremonious death.
You son of a bitch. Alright.
Scarecrow and Moneypenny have to stealth their way around town until they see a tower with flashing Christmas lights. They climb the tower, racing for more infected until they meet Mad Eye Moody and his daughter, Hannah. And by that you can guess which one of these is the bigger film repertoire for me to pull jokes from. Moody tells our heroes the radio has been telling them about the military base where survivors may have been gathering. So they plan a cross-country road trip through tunnels and hordes to get there. Cross-country of the UK, that's like an hour, right? After getting to know one another, doing some drugs, and some obvious flirting between our leads, our heroes arrive at what appears to be an abandoned military base. Sad-Eye Moody loses his cool and gets himself infected, becoming Blood-Eye Moody, and then when the military dogs arrive with the convenient timing to shoot him before he hurts anybody. Our heroes are then taken to the military base to clean up and learn about the state of the governing force. And it ain't good. It ain't good. Scarecrow has to basically save the girls from a platoon of rapists because they're the last women for miles and you gotta repopulate this shitty country sooner or later, am I right? He also gets wind the infection may only be in the UK and the rest of the world is fine because they quarantined it, those limey gits. So Scarecrow releases it infected into the base, causing obvious panic. He gets the girls out and they escape, nearly getting killed in the process. We jump another 28 days later, roll credits, where they're attempting to signal down planes with big banners and get the hell off this tea-swilling rock. We'll be back in 28 weeks with another set of would-be survivors.
I hate you. Sad-Eye Moody got me. Sad-Eye Moody just blew me away. No, I wasn't ready. No.
As always, everybody, I know it's a successful podcast, so I can make Ryan laugh.
Because the fucking blood got in his eye. Mad-Eye Moody. I can't. I'm done. Man, damn it.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Ryan, with all that in mind, what do you think of the movie?
Oh man. So I mean, I was gushing about it before we got the synopsis that made me laugh my ass off. But no, I think this is fantastic. I think this is a fantastic movie. I think when you really boil down the budget of a movie and you kind of like go bare bones, like you have to put all of your effort into the story that's told. And I think it does a really, really good job of doing that. I think Cillian Murphy fucking knocks it out of the park. If this is his first movie, then oh my god, it's no wonder that he got tapped to do so many crazy things. I'm a little sad that you didn't reference that Cillian Murphy got his Batman on in the final sequence of them against the base.
I could have, but I kind of like the idea of him just instilling fear in everybody with the released monsters. So
yeah, it's fair. That's fair. But yeah, no, he was doing his goddamn thing.
Sorry.
He was doing his goddamn thing. I love it. I still need to see Red Eye, honestly.
Red Eye's good. Red Eye's surprisingly good.
I've heard it's fantastic. I just haven't gotten the chance to watch it.
Mm-hmm. He's creepy in everything he does, and he does it with gusto. Like, I cannot complain. Wait, he was also in Inception, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Add that to the list of other good movies he's been in. He has not done a bad movie yet. That I know of.
He played a remarkably straight man in Inception because he was just he was the dupe.
He was the mark.
He was just like, what the fuck is going on? Am I dreaming right now? What the shit? Yeah. God, now I want to watch Inception again.
It's good. It's real good. Yeah, no, I really dig this one a lot. I don't know if it's my favorite zombie movie, but we haven't gotten to the end of this season yet, so when we get to the end of Dawn of the Dead, which I have to discuss with you which one we're doing, we will, for sure, nail down which one of these is the zombiest of the zombies, for sure. Mm-hmm. But, no, I really enjoyed this one a lot, and, I think we should definitely spend a good half of this discussion on just that opening sequence alone. But before we get too deep in that, though, a quick reference back to my Food Wars thing. You said that this movie, with the small budget it had, did a lot of good stuff. And kind of similar to how the Food Wars stuff goes, because the main dude comes from a dirt cheap family diner where they have to cook stuff on a budget, so he's constantly using cheap ingredients and shit to make these fantastic fucking meals. And it kind of reminds me of this a little bit, where it's like it's all about technique and knowledge, not so much about how expensive the budget you're throwing around for your movie is. And I think that's what really sells me on this one. It's not about the fanciest shit they're doing. They're literally bare bones in it, and they're doing it with enough skill and technique and like just genuine love of what they're doing to make something brilliant out of it. So, all coming full circle for me. Full circle.
I like it. I mean, I don't really like comparing foods that you eat things to zombies, but that's fine.
I mean, zombies eat brains, and we eat
Get
food.
It's
all...
getting a real Hannibal vibe from you right now.
It's fine. It's fine. You know, no big deal.
Fucking hell! What are your questions? You have questions.
I have questions, Ryan. They need answers. Let's get going. So let's talk about that opening sequence where Jim explores the remains of London. And is this too similar to Walking Dead? We can ignore that last part because we know Walking Dead comes out later, but I just wanted to throw it in there for a cheeky reference. But no, that opening sequence, man, from the beginning when he wakes up to like the first zombie he meets, like that whole sequence is fucking great.
It's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, we've already touched on it, but I mean, it really sets the tone of the movie. For the first 5 minutes that we're following Mark. Yes.
Yes. Jim.
The first 5 minutes that we're following Jim, we see just how fucking barren London is, and it's just the first active moving people that we come across are zombies, and that's fucked up. And that's after 5 minutes of a global city, a normally bustling city, at an eerie standstill. If that's not enough to set in your mind that the human race is pretty much done for, I mean, I don't know what the fuck else you want. So I think it does a really great job of setting the scene and setting the tone, and kind of putting you in the right mindset to begin the story. Mm-hmm. For the Walking Dead bit, I mean, like we said, we know that this came out first. I can absolutely see that they took inspiration for how Rick Grimes managed to fucking Rick Grimes' origins lifted directly from this movie, and that's perfectly fine because it's a great story. I mean, how more helpless can you get in a zombie film if you wake up, if you go to sleep from you're in an accident, you go unconscious and you wake up and fucking the world has ended. That's horrifying. That's the lowest of the low to start a zombie movie. And so yeah, it's worth a reuse. I won't begrudge them for starting Rick with that.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. So there's a lot of reasons why I like this scene, and you hit a lot of them really well. I want to point out the part I like, though. And it's so, Ryan, you and I come from the world of video games. I play a lot of video games. I go on about them a lot. We've talked about them before. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite things in video games is when they can tell story and exposit information without making you stop and listen to somebody or make you stop and read something. You choose to engage with it because it's part of the environment. And they do that quite well in this opening scene, because you can see bits of news articles, scraps of paper, and just all these different visual indicators of what happened since the opening scene with the laboratory to now. And it's subtle, it's quick, and it's all you really need to convey information that London is fucked. And it's really well done and very quick, and just I wish more movies would be willing to let their audience just kind of gather information from something as simple as this. Because
it's show don't tell. Yeah.
It's so good at just that alone. I don't mind when we're told information that's not super clear, but we don't need a lot more information than this. We don't need more than the missing persons. We don't need more than a headline that's blown in the wind as he's walking through empty streets. That is enough visual information for me to gather. Oh, everyone's dead. The survivor population is probably in the single digits in most areas. That's how good that is. Show don't tell. That is the textbook right there.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like show don't tell is hard for movie studios to grasp because they want to hit as wide a margin of the audience as possible, and not everybody who goes to see movies are super attentive to detail like us, if I'm gonna toot our own horns. Buy
me dinner first.
But for this fuck you. But for this particular movie, you're absolutely right. They only showed the essentials, and like the shots of an empty London. If you know anything about London, which is essential, like it's
It's one of the biggest
fucking
urban
major
centers in the
city.
world.
Like it's like the fucking major city for UK. Like it's like the New York or the Chicago for the UK. And the fact that it's completely empty, that there are abandoned cars everywhere, everything is in disarray. You haven't seen a living person, and he's been walking for fucking miles. Like literally, that tells you everything. The small like news clippings that you catch a glimpse of, that's like icing, but it conveys so much information with so little, and I think it's definitely a master stroke in conveying the bleakness of the setting. So yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head right there, definitely.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I don't think it's that hard to do in film. Speaking of it here, I mean, I'm sure the actual committing to the show don't tell can be difficult, depending on your skill, your technique, your experience, etc., etc. But the idea is, though, you're in a visual medium. Showing people things versus telling them should be the simplest thing, compared to, say, like writing a book, for example, where you have to kind of convey the details without going too far where it's expositing the details. Here, it's like I can just set up a shot and show the scene, show the event, and let the image just sink in.
Yeah.
And on that ground alone, at the very least, it should be a simple task. And I think more films would be so much better off to pull it off that way. And I think if you have faith in the audience and you have faith in your film, that's all you really need. I don't think you need more than that.
Yeah. I'm one of those weird people that like exposition. Like if it's well written, I like exposition.
I like it in certain things. Like I like it when you're like giving like a historical background or something, or you're giving like deep lore. But if you're trying to show like in the moment stuff, I don't think I need a narration or exposition for that.
Yeah, no. I mean, we don't need that, especially since like in this particular movie, we've already firmly established our POV for like for the majority of the movie is gonna follow Jim. There's absolutely no reason for Jim to be like the infection spread like wildfire.
I wouldn't know though because I wasn't there.
Yeah, like Jim wouldn't fucking know that. So why are you having a monologue over like while we're clearly in Jim's POV? Why would you have that? But instead of having to go into all of that, they just showed it. They were just like Jim's walking through the streets of London, and even this early in the morning, it would normally be bustling, but there is literally not a soul for miles. And there are abandoned cars along along the sides of the streets. Like you see clear evidence of looting, but the looters have all gone. It's just like, yeah, the city's fucking dead, guy, and you don't need to say a damn thing. It's just conveyed in him walking through a barren metropolis. It's perfect.
Well, and it helps punctuate some stuff, too, because we'll see later in the film there's other moments of quiet, like somberness, quiet, like just characters resting, relaxing, whatever, in between intense moments of running or shooting or panicking. And this movie does the whole interest curve thing, where it starts off with a bang, it gets you into it with this action scene, then it slows down, it lets everything build up the tension until you get to the first zombies of the actual, like, post-28 days later event. And, from there, it's just back and forth between fast-paced moments and then slow-paced, like, just getting you caught up, like breathers, basically. And this film goes back and forth and spreads those out in just the right way, where it builds up to the right level of intensity at the end, and it's very clear what they're doing. So there's a lot of positive things to say about this scene, and that being the punctuation for the action scenes we've seen around it, and how it carries that kind of, like, idea going forward.
Yeah. In all honesty, we could spend an hour on this opening scene.
We really could. We really could. Okay, so I'll move on. We'll try to be brief with everything else since we took a lot of time on that one. I think I've asked this before, but I'll ask it again because it's kind of poignant here. Running zombies or shambling zombies?
Damn it, it depends. I hate to give that answer. But here's
I
here's
agree.
the thing.
I agree.
I feel like shambling zombies are effective in large groups. It pretty much sends like the like it's like a wave of inevitability. It's like regardless of what you do, there are thousands of bodies that are shambling towards you, and if one of them gets to you, you're fucked. You're pretty much done. So it's just like the mass of shambling zombies is definitely what conveys the fear. For running zombies, you only need like 2 or 3. Because these guys are going full sprint, and holy shit, you have to move. Because if one of them gets to you, you're fucked. So I think this movie definitely went towards the latter, and they utilized it perfectly. I really did. Because like when you look at the ending sequence, all it took was one zombie. All it took was Mailer, who they had like chained up in the backyard. He's like, I'm gonna shoot his chain and just let him fucking wreak havoc. All those guys died because of that one move. And it's just like, yeah, like the exception is the dude that Jim bayoneted and the dude that Jim fucking dug his eyes out. Like, everybody else died explicitly because Mailer was let loose. All you need is one running zombie. You need a horde of shambling zombies, but if there's one running zombie and a couple of unaware people, you're all fucked. You're all dead.
Well, if I may throw some D&D terms out there real quick, if you want something with a high challenge rating, the running zombies are what you're gonna have.
Yes.
They make for the best enemies in games. They make for the most intense stories in film. But if you want to focus more on the human drama, if you're in this for more of a casual play, then you want the lower challenge rating of the shambling zombies. Let's be real here.
I can agree with that analogy because with the lower challenge rating zombies, if you throw a bunch of them in there, it ramps the difficulty up real fucking fast because there's a difference between dealing with the actions of one high-powered enemy combatant and 10 low-powered enemy combatants. Yeah, they're low-powered, but that's still 10 rounds to fuck your shit up.
Mm-hmm. If you're playing 4th edition, you're going to be there all day.
The conga line of doom! Alright,
God,
next
I hate
question.
4th edition.
Jesus Christ. Next question.
What do you think of Selena's and Mark's lack of teaching to help the group stay alive? I think, so to clarify, when they first show up, they don't really explain a lot of the details and nuances of survival to Jim, and I feel like that is largely why Mark dies as early as he does. Like, if they had taught him, hey, lights out after a certain hour and keep them out until sunrise, he might have lived.
I don't look at Mark's death as like a failing of Jim or Selena. You know, like I think they didn't think that there were any zombies nearby, and if anything, I think Mark's death really punctuates the danger of the setting because it's like Selena and Mark have been alive for a good long while, and they're fair hands of survival. But it's literally one fight against 2 guys, like 2 zombies. Like it's spooky, but they can handle it. You saw them blow up 3 zombies when they first got introduced. Here is 2 zombies, but it only takes one misstep for a seasoned vet like Mark to get fucked. I think that's what they were going for. Not necessarily the lack of teaching, like, on their part. I think like Selena teaches by example, essentially. Like, and Jim's a fairly intelligent adult who like pretty much picks up like as they're going, and like by the end of it, he becomes fucking Batman. So there's that. But I think Jim in and of himself wasn't like a a wee little lamb, like, lost in the darkness, you know? Like, I think, like, he eventually comes to handle himself, and I think, like, that first encounter wasn't really a fault of his, but rather just... It was driving home the fact, like, dude, we're playing with live ammo here. Like, one misstep and you're dead. That's it. That's it.
That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
That's how I saw it.
I mean, it kind of reminds me of DayZ a little bit. I'm going to reference a lot of zombie games for those who are paying attention, but it reminds me of DayZ a little bit, where you're just kind of dropped on the beach on this like island to explore, and you're not really told a lot of information. All you know is that there are zombies around, and you need to get stuff to survive. And the hows and the whys and the details are kind of just obscured a bit. So it kind of reminds me of that situation a little bit. And like I said, I feel like if Jim had known just a little bit more, it would have helped. But I get you were saying, though, the environment doesn't really give him that time to do it, nor does it, nor are they given an opportunity to really, like, you know, they let their guard down at an inopportune time, overall.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, they were doing their best to keep him, like, to keep him safe, and they're like, no, we'll all sleep in the same room because it's safer. Like, yes, it was his inexperience that caused him to leave the group in the middle of the night and, like, just kind of wander. Yes, that is like factually accurate. That is true.
If I may drop into D&D terminology again, don't split the party.
Don't split the party, please don't. Please don't. It's so bad. It's so your DM will thank you if you don't. Just don't.
Or he'll punish you if you do.
like that's the flip side of the same fucking coin. Just don't.
What are your thoughts on Frank's plan and the execution of said plan?
I think the plan in and of itself made sense. They realized that they couldn't just spend the rest of their lives in that apartment, and if they were gonna actually make it to like some like suburb off from the city, then they were gonna need help, definitely. Execution wise, I think it was okay except for the fucking tunnel. Like, I would have been as mad as Jim if he decided, you know what, we're just gonna fucking drive over this bullshit. I'm like, no! You're risking the car! If we have no car, we can't get there! Can we please take an extra day and find a way around this bullshit? I don't want to get stuck in the spooky tunnel where all the zombies could show up, guys. And surely he did, and surely they did. I would have been mad as hell, too.
Oh, it would have been so much worse if the zombies tried to pincer him in there, too.
Oh, dude. Yeah. If they had flanked him and come around from the other end as well, dude, that would have been the end. Because there was no room to turn around. How the fuck? How are you gonna do that? Oh my god.
Yeah. So I have a problem with the plan in general, and this is this is based on my extensive history with zombie games, zombie movies, zombie comics, etc.
Hit me with it. What's up?
I don't trust the government or any remaining government to do shit properly. I have yet to see a situation where, in a zombie apocalypse scenario, going to the military has been the positive solution. Look at Train to Busan, for example. That did not go well for anyone for the longest fucking time. Left 4 Dead, they're constantly chasing the CEDA for some kind of evacuation, and every time it crashes or it's overrun with zombies and they have to find some other excuse to get away. It's ridiculous. And we don't even know what the government's plan is. Are they going to execute you? Are they going to use you to repopulate the earth? Are you infected? Are they going to experiment on you? Are they going to make the situation worse? I would not trust the government for shit. I would never go to a military base in that situation.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess, damn. Okay, so I would say that times are different, and that the general public of 2003 is far different than the general public of 2019. If a zombie outbreak happens in 2003, making your way to a military base where you're receiving a transmission makes a lot of sense. Because you kind of think the government will at least have this together. Like if the government's good for I would personally think if the military was good for nothing else, they were good for planning for worst case scenarios.
Are you sure,
if there
Ryan?
are a bunch, if there are a bunch of zombies, I want to get with the guys that have the guns. That makes sense to me.
Need to remind you, 2003, we're in prime Bush era. This is the same man who bungled Katrina, who got us in Iraq when we probably shouldn't have been, and many other problems.
Look. The fucking commander-in-chief notwithstanding, the military in general prides itself on, like, having scenarios prepped for the worst situations. If anything, I want to get with the trained warriors that have guns that can defend me from the zombies. That makes sense.
I understand where you're coming from, and I'm not saying you're wrong, because I'm sure I'm blowing up a little bit, and I'm sure...
2019, yes, the general public is absolutely fucking done with these people, so they're just like, no, fuck all of them. Well, at least, like, a good portion of them are. I was gonna say,
not every military person's bad, not every military outpost is bad, and I'm sure...
Absolutely not saying that.
Yeah, but I am just distrusting of government entities in general, and here's my thing. Instead of that plan, I guess we're gonna get into the zombie plans here real quick.
Alright.
If it were me, I would not go to a military outpost, and I would stay away from cities as much as possible. My goal would be to go as far out into the middle of nowhere, where there's some farmable land and some decent weather, to ride out the zombie apocalypse in the most minimal population possible. There are some areas, Midwest and in southern Canada, to an extent, that could definitely be good for that.
That's a good idea. The only thing that stops me is that I don't know jack shit about farming or living off of the grid.
Oh, I don't know either, but you learn. You gotta learn.
I don't know if I would stay alive long enough to learn. That makes sense. It definitely is the most feasible plan, but I'll be the first to tell you if the zombie apocalypse breaks out, I'm dead.
You're in Chicago. You're fucked.
Like I'm fucked. Like honestly, like I will the biggest thing I could aspire for is to go out saving somebody else. I'm going to die, but if my death can help somebody else survive, fuck it. I'll count it as a win and just not have to deal with the end of the world. I mean, shit. I'll try to survive, but I don't think my chances are very good, guys. Unless I become like the gender bent Michonne and just start lobbing zombies' heads off with my katana that I learned skills from watching fucking movies, which equates to jack shit. So I don't know, guys.
Hey! If you can make it to Iowa, where I'm at, man, that's half the battle.
I'll try. I'll try. Although, like, as things stand today, and it would be hella hard to do it. Oh shit, I really hope that the zombie apocalypse doesn't pop off now, because I'm going to have to make my way to North Carolina. I'm going to have to make my way to Allegra. Like, that I already have a cross-country zombie journey that's plotted out for me, because I have to get to this girl that I would like to marry one day. Oops, sorry, said that on camera. So...
Spoilers.
I would have to do that. I would just have to do that. And that would be my mission.
I hope she listens to this episode. This will be a good one.
Shush.
Okay. Moving on from zombie plans and shit. Well, we got a lot of stuff. We got a little bit left. Would you have gone as far as Jim to save the girls? How far would you have gone?
I mean, considering that they're literally all that Jim has left, it's absolutely understandable. I don't know if I would have been as smart as Jim was, because Jim went on full Batman mode. Like I said, at the very end of that, it's just like, all right, shirts off, we're going to be action hero now. And he does the thing, and it's really, really cool. I would have gone to that extent because the the other side of that coin would have been I try to go off by my goddamn self with nothing and die to zombies. If I'm gonna die, I might as well go out trying to get to the people that I want to spend the rest of my life with. And then if I'm successful, well then shit, everything is really looking up because I'm not alone anymore. I would have gone to those lengths. I don't know if I would have been as successful.
Awesome. I agree. I think I would have probably fucked up somewhere along the lines. Not because I don't think I'm intelligent, but because I'm exceedingly clumsy and really bad at coordination on that kind of stuff. My guess is I probably would have tried to free the one zombie mailer, and I probably would have messed up and fallen into the room with him, and like, oh fuck. So that probably would have been my end right there, honestly.
Oh shit! All right, good shit.
Do you think the disease is really contained entirely in the UK, or do you think such a feat was impossible, given that we've seen Planet of the Apes reboot trilogy and know that stuff transmits over those international airways pretty damn fast?
So I'm actually really glad that you brought this up. And this was honestly this was the thing that kind of tripped me up, because you heard you saw the onset of this disease. You went around and seeing a bunch of stuff, and then you saw the newspaper clipping saying the disease is said to have broken out in New York and Paris. And my first question was how? It's not an airborne disease. It's not that random people can turn into zombies, or that if anybody dies, they can turn into a zombie. It is explicitly transmitted through blood. How in the fuck would this have gotten across the ocean? Unless somebody was dumb enough to take an infected person across the ocean to do experiments on.
Well, that makes sense though. If you're trying to find a cure, that's kind of the only way you can really do it, is by using an infected person.
Nah. I think if there was any chance that the infection could have been contained in London, in the UK, it absolutely would have stayed there. You wouldn't have seen any other government saying, "Oh, we'll just send over an infected over here and we'll do the research." No. If it is entirely transmittable through blood, they're not going to have you send the disease over here, because over here is perfectly fine. They might try to send help to London to research it, but they absolutely wouldn't risk an outbreak happening on foreign soil. So, and especially because of the turnaround time of the disease. It's not something where somebody catches it and it takes a while to metabolize and then they go nuts. Take for instance Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
The avian flu took a few days to actually kill people, which allowed the pilot to actually just fly to other countries without realizing that what he had was a fucking humanity level ending contagion. But the fact that once the blood gets in your system, you have fucking 20 seconds. 20 seconds before you become a goddamn zombie. The fact that it was so fast acting really helped keep it contained, because there's no risk of infected people getting through without you knowing. So as soon as I heard that, I was like, nah, it's only here. The only reason it would be somewhere else is if the government involved did something really, really stupid.
So I guess my question then is the turnaround time on this disease realistic in any sense of the word?
I mean, what is realism in a zombie film?
I'm just saying, going off other typical zombie things I've seen, a bite or a scratch or the blood or whatever, in a lot of stuff, it can take, several hours to even days, depending on, the severity of it and how you're treating the person. And to me, and maybe that's just because of specific rule sets for specific zombies, sure. But I think that, to me, makes a little bit more sense, because it's something that then you can, analyze and figure out, whereas here, there's no time for that. And I don't know of any diseases off the top of my head that have this quick a reaction time. I just looked up, actually, out of curiosity, because this is based loosely on rabies, for example. That takes an average of 30 to 60 days for people to actually be, for symptoms to show up.
I mean, so this actually stuck out to me, in the very beginning of the film, when the eco-terrorists were, holding the doctor hostage, and he's like, no, they're infected. And they're like, what the fuck you mean? Infected with what? And he said, rage. I'm like, how the fuck do you infect someone with rage? If you had told me that you were experimenting on, a highly, aggressive strain of rabies, or, some disease that you had concocted so that you could figure out a cure for all disease, I that would make sense, because those are rooted in biological conditions. Rage is not a biological condition. And it looked like they were getting to the root of all violence in this experiment. Because you started out with seeing the chimpanzee strapped to a table watching extremely violent deeds. And they're so it was apparent that violence is what they were studying. So when you say they're infected with rage, it's already kind of taken out a little bit out of realism for me. And so the 20-second turnaround makes sense, because we're not dealing with a particularly realistic strain of zombieism. As compared to, say, The Last of Us, when where the zombie the zombie epidemic is based on a real life bacteria that fucking takes over its host's nervous system and uses it to self-propagate. That's based on a real thing, and so that's a little more terrifying.
Hella creepier too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Last question, I guess, here, and we can kind of hem and haw on this real quick if you want. Is there any big lesson or takeaway to grab from this movie, or is this just a fun, zombie flick to you, basically?
So I think, and I'm pretty sure I've said it before on this podcast, in different genres, but the best science fiction to me takes an exaggerated concept and uses it to showcase aspects of the human condition. So this movie shines in that regard, because it doesn't focus on what the zombies are actually about, or what actually created the zombies. It gives you the premise, and then it doesn't even deal with the premise anymore. It says, okay, in the light of this disease that has ravaged mankind, what do the remnants of mankind do? And that's what the best science fiction does, in my particular opinion. And this follows suit in that, by showing the remnants of society trying to cling to the things that are really important: family, camaraderie, love, but it also shows the darkest parts of it, trying to cling to those things that you once had, and rape, which is absolutely god awful. So I mean, it does a good thing. It does a good job in showcasing the best and the worst of humanity brought out by terrifying circumstances. I don't know if there's a singular message to take away. I just feel the human nature is under a microscope in this movie, and I think that's what makes it awesome.
I like that. I think that's a good way to good place to wrap it up. Before we do, mailbag real quick. You can find us on Tumblr, Twitter, or Facebook. You can also reach out to us through our email if you have any questions regarding this film or other films we cover. Ryan, where's that email?
That email is, holy shit, Christopher Eccleston can play a good villain. Excuse me. That is evacstation@gmail.com.
And we didn't even cover the military guys all that much, but, I mean, there's a lot to cover here, so... yeah, so let's go ahead and rank it. We have our Halloween horror month, or I guess horror-themed ranking of Bucket or Fuck It. Bucket for good, Fuck It for bad. And Ryan, we talked a lot of sugar about just one scene. I feel like we already know where this is going.
Yeah, it's obviously a shitty movie. I mean, why the fuck would you waste your time? No. This is definitely a live-long staple of the zombie genre. I highly recommend it for fans of the genre. Definite bucket of blood for me.
I concur. It may not be my number one at the end of all this thing, but it is in contention for it.
It's definitely a contender for number one. It's a contender for the top spot.
Yep, it's a solid entry, and you could find way worse ways to spend your time than watching this. It's something you should probably get around to doing if you have not yet. I feel bad I haven't gotten around to it till just now, but it was worth it. It was definitely worth the wait. Next week, Ryan, we're going to go with a very big unknown, the newest film on our roster, Overlord.
Yay! J.J. Abrams and my boy, I cannot pronounce his actual name, but he plays Fitz in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm so excited to see this movie.
I'm looking forward to it, too. I've heard it's basically Nazis / zombies, so we'll see how that goes.
I'm down. I'm already down. We punched Nazis. Sorry. Anyway.
And then after that, we'll wrap up the season with Dawn of the Dead. Which one will it be? You'll have to tune in next week to find out. Until then, we'll see you after the credits.
Bye!
Guess the table is for now. I'm glad to see you take constructive criticism well. Thank you for your time, I know we're all busy as hell. And we'll put this thing to bed when I bash your head open. All we wanna do is eat your brains. We're not unreasonable, I mean no one's gonna eat your eyes. All we wanna do is eat your brains. We're at an impasse here, maybe we should compromise. Open up the door, we'll all come inside.